Hi guys, I'm Shmee and today I'm in Portugal. I'm at Portimao. The Algarve International Circuit is my first visit here, and today is the McLaren 570S test drive day. So I'm going to be out driving this car on both road and track. First time driving McLaren's new Sports Series 570 PS awesome machine. So this is going to be sort of a full look at the car. I'm going to show you around some of the cars that are out here right now, talk a bit about them. Then we'll jump into, I think, a mantis green car to take for a test drive before we come back here for a run around the track. So the 570S is the first introduction of a number of different cars that are going to feature in the Sports Series. Beneath it is the 540C, the 540 and 570 representing the power, of course, C for club, S for sport. There will be another model introduced during 2016 that's not yet being discussed, and then there will be a Spider version to follow of the 570S and presumably also the 540C in 2017. Now, we were shown an early design sketch. There we have a green car just coming through. We were shown an early design sketch last night at the introductory briefing that was drawn in 2012, and it was remarkable how similar Rob Melville's design from then looks to the finished car that we're looking at here. It was designed from the outset to feature a number of aluminium parts, so the rear deck lid areas, well, the parts that aren't carbon fibre, of course, and around the front as well, but be very aerodynamic and obviously lightweight. It's got the carbon monocell too, so 75 kilo carbon fibre tub, and one of the big things that McLaren went for with building that was to make it a little bit easier to get in and out, the ingress and egress of the car. So this sits about 8.5 centimetres lower than the cell did in the 650S and the 12C, so a little bit easier to get in and out and swing your legs in, all sort of part of making the car a little bit more daily usable. This comes in as sort of the entry-level baby McLaren, although physically it is actually slightly wider and slightly longer than the 650S, but the way the package all completely wraps around makes it look sort of visually a little bit smaller. McLaren have introduced a new sort of design but similar take on their Speedmark logo style headlight. Red car just heading out over there. Does sound good. Yeah, so a new design on the headlight. It's a very, very clever trick design with the tick Speedmark shape around the outside, and then the main beam and low beam lights on the inside. Down on the front splitter, you've got these sort of veins sticking out at the front that direct the air in and sort of through different parts, obviously for cooling. You've got the low temperature radiators at the front, the high temperature radiators in here. And if I just let the door close down, with soft close to pull it in gently, which was a new feature introduced for Sports Series and also for the 675 LT. You have the whole sort of shape of the car. This sort of line up the bonnet is very purposeful to bring air and pull it in through these vents, so that you don't have to make spectacularly large vents on the side, which would then negatively impact the aerodynamics and create more drag. You've got some magical sort of shapes and holes and different bits. If I pop the door back up, and which on its own is an interesting thing because it opens significantly more vertically than McLaren's did before, and the advantage of that is it means this point is slightly further out, so you've got a wider gap to sort of go in through to get into the car, as well as obviously not sticking quite so far out the side. The inside, I'll touch significantly further on the inside, a little bit further on, but it's a completely new design, completely built for the 570, well, for the Sports Series. So you've got the new floating iris display, run through that in a bit, and a new 7-inch digital dashboard display with accompanying side displays as well. So I'm going to show you all of that, along with the new seats on the inside. Engine, you can see through here, lots of venting for cooling and all that magical stuff. And there's a little lip spoiler built into the rear sort of bumper part up here. Above the exhausts, which have now been moved. They were here before, where we've now got a vent for cooling, and the new exhaust tips are at the sides above the pretty cool carbon diffuser on this car. But that's enough looking around it for the moment. Let's go find a car to drive. This is the car I'm going to be driving then, a Mantis Green 570S, which is of course a very lovely and personal colour to me, having had my 650S Spider in the exact same colour. This car's spec'd with a lot of the exterior carbon. You can see all of the carbon fibre around the aerodynamic parts on the doors, the side skirts, mirrors, the roof, and around the front as well. On the inside though, if I show you what we have in here, in this car, opening the doors up, which of course have this new mechanism, we've got a highly spec'd interior with the touring, slightly wider Alcantara bucket seats. So Alcantara all around with the sport design interior and lots of the carbon fibre as well. And we also have the carbon backed bucket seats. So if I slide that forwards, you can see they're carbon fibre backed, which is obviously quite a pricey option setting this car up with a bit of a sort of race angle on it. But we're going to be driving first out on the roads here. We've got some truly beautiful roads to test the car on. So without any further ado, let's jump in, fire the car up, and take it for a drive. Here we go then, let's start it up. Familiar sound from the twin-turbo V8, although the acoustics of this car have of course been quite significantly refined. It's amazing how different it actually does sound versus 12C, 650S, P1, etc. We've got an electronic handbrake which will automatically release as I start driving forwards. Here we go, off at the wheel of the new McLaren 570S. So naturally, to start us off, I've got everything in the sort of full, complete automatic settings, haven't played with anything. The active dynamics panel's not turned on. So we've got the new suspension system, which is of course a more traditional roll bar type setup rather than McLaren's hydraulic system that features in the P11 range, or the 12C and 650. So that's going to be an interesting one to sort of compare. We're on a pretty bumpy little bit of road here, but no problem so far. What else can we think about? Well, 570 PS, the horsepower. Of course, that's quite a similar number actually to where the 12C started. It's 576 brake horsepower before they boosted the power up to 625 PS. Sorry for using different metrics, different numbers there, different number scales, but just the numbers I remember off the top of my head. So what weight-wise, we're a similar sort of weight, so the performance is obviously pretty crazy. 0 to 62, 3.2 seconds, 0 to 124 miles per hour, 200 kilometers is just 9.5 seconds, which is a pretty astonishingly quick car. I'm almost immediately going to turn on the active dynamics, where I've got it set for sport and manual on the gear paddles, of course. Paddles actually an interesting one, have the extended carbon fibre paddles in this car with the same precog system, which is why you get that click on the gearbox, as you can sort of pre-select the gear. So a gentle pull on the paddle sort of activates the gearbox to be prepared to shift, so that when you do then pull it and you get that secondary click, you're immediately into the new gear. Of course, we've got the 7-speed gearbox, which is a fantastic piece of kit, lightning fast. The setup in this car seems pretty good on that too. So yeah, weight-wise, 30 kilos or so. So I think you can slightly tell that it's a bit heavier than the LT. Obviously, driving my 675 LT, quite familiar with the McLaren setup. Definitely, the power is nice kind of delivery. No shortage of it. I think when you do then put your foot down quite hard, slow down a little bit, you're going to get a bit of a kick in the back. Yeah, it's definitely not lacking. The usual kind of precision you expect, but with a quite comfortable ride given the kind of roads we're going down as well. Some beautiful scenery. Ourselves a very nice road to be driving on, so I'm going to try putting the car into, well, firstly track on the powertrain setting, which gives us a new interface. So I'll show a little bit further on when I'm showing around the interior of the car. So we've got a sort of linear rev counter along the top and a much larger gear selection indicator. And then I'll put the handling mode in track as well, which will firm up the suspension. Oh yeah, we immediately tell that we're running on a firmer setting here. This is obviously normally reserved for track type environments, but it's always interesting just to feel how it is set up. The turn-in is very nice. The sound, it's not quite as sort of characterful, I think, as I might have expected from the inside. It certainly is outside. Inside it's very similar to 12C. That was quite a kick. Traditional McLaren fashion, it's very, very easy to place the car on the road, and part of that is because as you look out over the sort of very low front scuttle, the highest point is exactly above the contact point of the tyres, so you're looking sort of exactly where you're putting the wheels, which makes it very, very easy to point the car. And with this sort of power on tap and control and direct feeling from the steering, it's certainly easy to move at very brisk speeds along on public roads. I can imagine that translates incredibly well to being out on track too. I suppose the temptation is to carry on going. You have to hold it back a bit because there is a little bit much on the power side in here. You can get yourself in trouble very, very quickly. Observation I've made is that if you have the powertrain dial in sport mode rather than in track, the exhaust note is actually a little bit more playful. There are more sort of overrun burbles, downshift pops, upshift cracks, just a little bit more noise going on. So that's probably the mode I would choose to drive this car in. Just as I say that, I've got a bit where I can't change gear for you. Don't know how much of it you can hear, but there's just a little bit more tone going on. The turn in there, tight corners here, absolutely brilliant. It's quite remarkable that you can have so much, percentage-wise, I suppose, of the driving experience of cars like the 675 LT and the P1 in a car at this price bracket. And for sure, anybody who's looking at buying a proper sports car, super sports car, this is a phenomenal piece of kit when you consider the amount of money. Starting in the low 140s pounds, £143,000. Brilliant drive. Obviously the carbon tub does a remarkable job, especially on this kind of road. It's very, very stiff, so it's holding together exceptionally nicely. And the new suspension system doesn't seem to lose too much. It's not quite as supple as the P11 platform suspension system is. Around the corner there, just start to feel a little bit of the understeer, but only when you're really working it and really, really pushing on. And I'm sure it's very, very good for the oversteer side of things as well, but I might leave that to my colleagues and Mr. Chris Harris especially. He does that better than I can. But around these roads, it's a fantastic driving experience. And it's very, very fast. This can, nobody could ever say that you need a car that's quicker than this is to drive on a public road. It's ludicrously fast. Apart from my little kiss of the ground there with the front splitter, this car's ride height is actually generally pretty good. And McLaren have installed a new lift system as well, so it's very easy to put it up and down. But we've been able to get over speed bumps and things without having to worry about things too much. Just if you do find a slightly dodgy bit of road, you might end up hitting the bottom, as you would in any car. It's sort of grateful in the way I was in this car there, not something substantially lower, where that would have been even less pretty. Roads around here are absolutely brilliant, and the 570S does not disappoint. I'm going to give a few more sort of thoughts further on. Now I'm here and it's my turn on the track, so I'm going to be jumping into the red 570S that we've got here, which has the sport seats as opposed to the bucket seats. First we'll go out for a familiarisation lap, and then we'll swap round, and it will be my turn to take it round the track.
So on this lap I'm just literally going to pop the car into normal on the power and the handling, and I'm just going to go around slowly, so it's not going to be anything to particularly talk to you about the car as such. So when you leave the pits, So always keep to the right hand side. There's nothing coming anyway, but just the first corner's a right hander. Just blend straight in. Close to the curb on the inside. Let the car run out wide. A quicker right hand kick follows. Just curve straight into it. And then braking hard down to second gear into a tight right hand hairpin. Close to the curb on the inside. Important not to let the car run too far to the left there, because then it compromises your. If you go too far, it compromises your line. I guess you can see it's quite a cool place, isn't it? It's very undulating and
it's a very good example of a roller coaster in a second.
Yeah. So what we'll do now, obviously, get swapped over. I'm just going to start the first lap in normal mode in both handling and the powertrain, and then every lap we'll just keep going through the next mode. We'll then get into dynamic mode and then get the car moving around a bit and have a bit of fun with it. So we'll go through everything, but we'll just start in normal and go from there.
Having been out in the passenger seat, it's now time to swap around and it's my turn to drive.
So the whole circuit's nice and dry now anyway, so we'll be able to push it on. You'll feel in normal mode as well on the first lap. There'll be a lot of traction there holding you back. It's quite soft, so it's not aggressive traction control, but you'll feel that you want to release that, and we'll slowly just go through every lap. So even when you turn in here now, if you just jump on the power, you'll feel it just holds the car back. So you'll feel as well the gear shifts are quite soft. There's braking hard down to second. It's good. Again, another opportunity when you come out of the hairpin now, jump on the power hard, you can feel it'll just hold the car back. And then obviously straighten on the wheel, feel the gear shifts then when the car's loaded, quite soft all the way through. So right, so now I'm going to go to sport mode. So you'll just feel the car slightly stiffen up. One thing I want you to really have a feel of is are the gear shifts. They're a lot more aggressive, especially when the car's loaded up on the revs. Now turning in. When you come out of here, a good opportunity to feel the gear shifts as you straighten up and the car's high in the revs. You feel it just, it's a bit more of a pop through the gear now, isn't it? Nice and smooth through the gear. So you can feel as well the traction's quite helpful for you at this point. You can feel it's there quite a lot through. So we're going to start, so again, as you come in here, just off it, let it grip in, and then now pick up the power. Start to let the car open up on the exit. Curbing, straighten up. So we'll do another lap in sport mode, just so you can have the sit. So when we start this next lap, I'm just going to go to track mode.
Okay, so that means that's my cue to be careful.
Yeah, to be honest, you'll find the car is very safe still in this mode. It's not until we go to dynamic, which I'll do next lap. Start to open up the wheel now, use a bit more track, that's it. Notice the kick again in the gear shift there, Nick. And the suspension down the straight.
Substantially further.
So soft on the brake. Now we use it harder as you come down the hill, turn in, and then back on the power. As we come around next lap, we'll go to dynamic mode. But you still see here the car's obviously changed now with its stiffness and responsiveness, but in terms of traction, it's still nice and safe. So like jump on the power now. It's and then what I'm going to do when we come onto the pit straight this time is go to dynamic mode, so it'll just give you that freedom. That's it. Straighten up. You'll just feel the whole car will start to liven up a bit more now and become a bit more fun. So when we come out of here, we'll keep our space here. Just jump on the power and be aware of it, but hit the power now. Nice and easy over the top. So again, when we come out, we can hit the power and just feel. So see now, the car's just now, obviously it just livens up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it livens up a lot. Significantly more playful than the 12C ever allowed you to be.
Yeah, exactly, yes, yeah. We'll have a little play if you want to. That's it, hit the power. Back up the power. So spin up those rear wheels all the way through again, won't it? So we'll... Right, so yeah, we'll sweep in next to these. Right, so.
And we're back, and what an awesome drive. Although I'm not gonna lie, my first time going around Portimao, there is so much to take in. There are so many undulations and tricky corners and bits to remember. So a lot of this was kind of trying to learn the circuit and make sure I got all that right, as well, of course, as trying to take in the car. On the topic of the car, what an unbelievable machine. And that's where I have really just taken in how many sort of different characters the car has. Because on the road, it was comfortable, usable is the term that's being used. What you sort of want and expect, but with all the looks and the drama, of course. But then you take it out onto the track, and when you turn traction control into the sporting, well, the dynamic ESC modes, and then ultimately in the hot lap I had at the end, in the traction fully off mode, it just lets you play around with such a sort of level of ease and controlled refinement that's just brilliant. So I'm not going to lie, I've really quite enjoyed that. That would be probably the perfect kind of daily accompanying car. Just hear it start up there. To just go out and use. I think they look so good in the red as well. It's got a bit sunny, sorry. But yeah, really, really, really good drive. Albeit not the longest drive in the world. I just hope I get more opportunities, maybe to use one for a road trip that takes in a track event as well. Obviously, we didn't have the bucket seats in the car that I used on the track. I think if you wanted to use it heavily on track, you might want those bucket seats. But for everyday use, those sort of comfort seats, the sports seats, are very, very good. So yeah, good drive. Good drive. Come out of that very, very content. Good experience. McLaren have lined out a number of things to look at in the pit garage here. So the first thing we've got is the monocell 2, the 75 kilo sort of carbon tub, and the underpinnings of this very car. And you can see here completely clearly how this new sort of side component comes down beneath the seat in the centre, which is what makes it all easier to get in and out of. Then we've got a number of the aluminium body panels. Interesting to see those actually unpainted in their raw state. As we come through, we've got the headlight, the full LED headlights, standard on the car. It's quite a cool little piece, completely narrow, minimised packaging and weight, of course. And then we've got some of the other various components. We've got the rear diffuser here, carbon fibre, naturally weighs absolutely nothing. I can completely pick that up, but I'd just be worried about dropping it because it's very big and very expensive. And then here we've got the sort of colours and configuration and all that kind of stuff that you can have on this car, the different stitching options, paint colours, leathers and alcantaras, and the paint samples for the car. Stands out to me, mantis green. But you can see there's all of these different pieces, stealth badges. This is quite a cool little pack actually. Carbon fibre example, that actually weighs next to nothing, which is quite cool. And then we've got the wheel designs as well, the different types. 19-inch at the front, 20-inch at the rear. With each design, this is the optional wheel. I quite like this one actually, the sort of two-tone diamond cut with the darker paint on the insides. And then we'll just have a quick look here, because McLaren introduced on the 675 LT their by McLaren designs, which is their sort of factory suggested optional setups. So you've got these 5 luxury designs which bring a touch of colour into the car. Then you've got the a sort of complementing colour, I should say. Then you've got the sport designs which bring the exterior colour in. So you can see on the McLaren orange style here, you have the bits of colour coming in on the seat belts and through the centre of the seats, which are very nice. There's lots of other options. The configurator actually is brilliant that McLaren have put out for this car. But let's head back to the pit lane and just watch what else is going on. let's take a look around this car. There are a couple of things I haven't yet shown you. And the first one I'm going to go to is the bonnet. So from the key or from inside, if you press and hold the button to release the bonnet, there is no clasp. It just lifts up. So normally on a sort of rear engine car, mid-engine car, you have to sort of waggle your hand around to try and find a clasp to open it. But here that is not required. And then you've got 150 litres of storage in here, which is actually quite a lot. You can fit a couple of sort of bags and things down there. Close it and press it down, it will latch back into place. Very easy. Just, I guess, another example of the whole sort of usability side of these things. If we jump inside, I can step in holding the camera nice and easily, much more so than before. Another thing to mention, stop start. Yes, we have a twin turbo V8 that has a stop start engine in it, which is, I guess, part of the whole economy side of things. So you're going to get 26.6 miles per gallon, well, claimed on the combined cycle, which is quite frankly ridiculous. There's this Bowers & Wilkins hi-fi system, 12 speakers, 14 channel, pretty good system, 1300 watts, and from trying it out earlier, it does indeed sound very good. I'm just going to start the car up actually. See the displays come into life. Now there's a lot to these displays, so I am actually going to show through them in a little bit more detail. The car's just waking up because it's been sat still unlocked for a while. So the left screen, if you can get around the reflections, has your sort of trip and info type stuff. The centre screen has the large rev counter. You have active enabled. When you go into sport mode, it changes slightly. When you go into track mode, you get that view with the horizontal rev counter up top. And it also changes what you have at the right. So in track mode, you've got temperatures and pressures and stuff. Sport mode goes back to that view. And then if you go back into normal mode, it just changes the rev counter slightly, speedo. Then on the left, if you have the nav set here, if you set the navigation somewhere, it will give you turn-by-turn directions on the left screen, which is all quite nice and simple. What else do we have that's new? Yeah, we have a glove box. First time a McLaren with a glove box. None of the previous cars actually had one. But another example of the whole usability. Oh, and yes, they were joking about this. We have vanity mirrors. So McLaren with vanity mirrors in the sun visors. No lights, but I think it was a big deal for them already to put those in because it's history and heritage and all of that. On the doors, if I just swing this down, you can see we've got a sort of stowage pocket here in the door. Fits a water bottle, sunglasses, that kind of stuff. That's actually really quite neat because it's very tidy and tucked away. For the lift system on the car, you just push that up, and then it lifts the car up. I can feel the front raising. I love that we're sat here just watching cars everywhere, and then push it back down, exactly the same. Which is actually different to the 650S and the previous models where you had to do it twice. So that's, again, a little bit simpler. It's all very efficient. You can hear the aircon working like crazy right now, so fire it back off just because it's a little bit on the noisy side. So comfort entry as well. When you step in, if you pull this towards you, it will automatically lower the steering wheel to your earlier position, which is controlled via a jog dial just down there to move it. I'm going to do a piece actually, I think, like I said, running through everything in this car because there's quite a lot to show you. And as you open the door, my seat is sliding back again, making getting in and out that little notch easier, which is what this car's all about, and doing a very, very good job of it. Well, we've got the sun on it. Take a look in the engine bay area. It's very cool. Very low mounted engine, mid-rear. You know, it's sat in front of the rear axle. All part of what makes it such a good driving experience. That's a lot of the things, so just see if I can catch a couple more clips really of the cars out and about. So there we have it, the 570S press launch at Portimao in the Algarve, Portugal. It has been a lovely day and it is a fantastic car. You probably didn't necessarily need me to tell you that. It's like you took the sort of usable spectrum of the 650S and moved it slightly more towards the everyday side of the spectrum. It's shrunk slightly in terms of the dynamic of the car, but it's so much of what you had in a package that's, well, to mind you, with a nice specification, you're looking at about £170,000 or so with lots of carbon and all the extras. And it's really fun to drive. So it's one of those things that fits, in the market, perhaps with the Turbo S, the R8 Plus, the AMG GTS, the Aston V12 Vantage S, lots of these other cars, but this is the real supercar. It looks like a supercar, it feels like a supercar, and it will command attention like a supercar. But it introduces to McLaren the totally versatile, usable side of the car in a new way. I love daily driving my 650S and my 12C, and presumably from here on my 675 LT. But the 570S, I can completely see how it fits into this market and how it works. And I'm not gonna lie, I would absolutely love one. There's a bit of a waiting list already though, unfortunately. I think they've taken nearly 1,000 orders globally for this car. It's no surprise when you drive it. Great visibility all around, A-pillars don't get in the way. No sort of frustrations or annoyances. Very nice to drive gently, soft suspension, it's not too low, the gearbox is great. And then, in typical McLaren style, you dial it up and it's a whole new kettle of fish. Lots of fun to go a little bit loose at the rear end here on the circuit at Portimao, and I'm sure there are drivers out there who would have even more fun than I can, significantly more fun than I can probably, but we will have to learn somewhere. And it's just a fantastic piece of kit. And it looks lovely, and I have to say I am very taken by the red colour on these cars as well. So they cruise in from the final hot laps, I think, of the day before taking the cars out. But yeah, it's been a brilliant day. Loved coming here for my first drive in the McLaren Sports Series, the 570S. Hopefully there will be plenty more in the future. There's a Spider model coming, and there's another model in the series coming as well next year. The 540C, of course, is out as well, which is in the £120,000 plus options, of course. But I think that's a very, very real prospect and a very exciting car for a lot of people to look into. And you can even go to MSO and bespoke the car and add some custom additions and features as well. But it's very distinct. It is its own car. It is a supercar. And it's a very, very, very good one. A really good day here in Portimao. There are going to be some more features to come. A vlog of the day, a video diary, because we've now got to drive the cars, make it sound like a chore, drive the cars back to the hotel. And also I'm going to do a full piece showing you around the interior, all the controls, electronics, the displays, the different modes and settings, what you can see and do inside the 570S. But that is it for now from here at Portimao. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers. Hi Nick, how are you?
Hello, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Hi, nice to see you.
Pretty excited about today. I can see the car over there. Let's go straight inside.